All right. I thought this was an okay episode. There's been a couple here over the last couple weeks of just okay. Nothing spectacular, amazing. Again, there has been some, but these at least these last two have just kind of been there in a sense. This week again, we focus on Don Black again. This is what fifth or sixth time we've done it this season so far, and I mean we got some Natsumi info. I mean, well, it's basically been confirmed that she has some powers, probably from the Bestials, but this like it was like a 2 second little fight between the cop, the bestial that's a cop, and then Natsumi, who for some reason was passed. I don't know. I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself, but that's basically like the biggest information. This felt like a filler episode, with right in the middle was some plot for the main story. But basically, this episode is it starts out with a little boy who is putting out a little shrine right on the sidewalk where his dog got hit in the road. And so Don Pink and Emil are walking by, and so they stop and they pray with the kid at the thing. And then they go on their way, and then we skip right to the fight. Well, not right to the fight. We figure out that the monster is studying. The guy is studying for something, and everything's so noisy, and he transforms into a monster, goes outside of this cafe building, and that's where the fight starts. And it's a 2 second fight because the monster uses its energy powers or whatever, launches a fist, like an energy fist at Don Black, who gets sent flying, ends up or lands in the shrine, breaks the glass, which is holding flowers, knocks a soccer ball out, which it was sitting in the collar, and he lands on that, breaks that, and all of a sudden he realizes he can't change back to his human form, and so everyone is, well, he's kind of walking around trying to figure it out. Everyone sees him, calls him a puppy, starts to try to pet him, and he gets upset and runs away. He finds out he can't speak English to them because they just hear basically barking like a dog would bark. So he's running away. He gets animal control after him. After someone called in a weird, suspicious puppy roaming around. So he's on the run from them. Then he bumps into the cop, who's, I guess because he's a bestial, he can recognize who Don Black is. And so he starts to chase him, and he finds Natsumi laying in a side street, which he saw Natsumi before the cop. She picked him up and kind of hugged him, and then they kind of got separated because he saw the monster, and the monster kind of attacked him, and then again that's when Natsumi goes and falls over in this alley. So again, then he goes and he looks for her again after he fights off the monster, pushes the monster away. That's when the cop shows up, and we see this like purple black aura kind of come off of Don Black, and it makes him weaker. And so he ends up passing out in the trash. And that's when Natsumi wakes up. But it's the bestial in Natsumi. Well, I'm going to say bestial because it feels like it is the bestial. She wakes up, realizes, hey, like, I got to protect the puppy. Fights, literally just hits the cop and the side. She jumps on the wall, kind of runs along the wall, and then slashes him. And the cop is closer to Don Black, but decides, I'm going to run away, which I thought was stupid because he's right there. The enemy now just went around you, hits you, and is way over there. So I don't know why you can't just grab Don Black, throw him away, and then go jump after him or something. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of dumb. That it's like he just looks over. It's like, nah, I'm good, and bolts. So I don't get that. Then we follow the monster's point of view as he's running through the city and whatnot, and all the DonBrothers again for the second time finally catch up to him. They start fighting him, And I haven't really talked about it, but Don Dragon, the Sixth Ranger, basically had his own subplot where he, for apparently 5 minutes in this episode, went back to his village, basically had lunch, dinner, whatever, with his old friends, and I hope they expand upon this, because the last time we saw, all these people in his village hated him, or like so glad he was gone, and so he pulls up his phone and shows him like, hey, like this is my suit, I'm the Sixth Ranger, and it's like, okay, excuse me, I gotta run to the bathroom. So then they're all looking at the photo, and they're sitting there, thinking it might be CGI, it might be a costume or whatever, but they say, hey, like, he never gave up on his dream. Like, I gave up on my dream to be a soccer player. Another guy wanted to be a politician, and I forget what the other two said. I don't think, they might have not mentioned it. But they basically said, like, hey, like, he didn't give up on his dream. Like, we all gave up on our dream. Like, we respect him for that. And so they come back, he comes back to them, and they kind of talk, like, and they kind of cheer him on, like, hey, like, we support you no matter what happens. Like, hey, we got your back. So I'm hoping. I want more of this. They kind of turned his friends really quickly after just one appearance. But, I would have rather that expand upon. But it was literally like 5 minutes in this episode where suddenly we go over to him in this village. And then 5 minutes later, he's leaving. It's dark already, which is why, again, I don't know if it's lunch or dinner. I guess by the time he leaves, it's dark. I guess it was a one-day trip or something. And so, the love of his life, I forget whatever her name was, they kind of walk out, kind of talk for a minute, and he starts to walk away and says, I hope to see you again. I want you to make me a lunchbox for when I go off to fight villains after I marry you and whatnot. Which I thought was... I enjoyed that line. I enjoyed how it was delivered and whatnot. And so he starts walking, and then he turns around, and I'm thinking, oh, he's gonna do, one of these weird things where we've seen in the previous episodes where he's kind of like crying as he runs away or whatever. He doesn't do that. He turns around and he goes, "I'm a superhero." Does it, transforms, goes, "Look at me," and then untransforms real quick and bolts out of there. And she's standing there going like, "That's real." I want more of that. I didn't know I needed this until they had a 5-minute segment of this. So that was the subplot. And then he meets up with the rest of the DonBrothers, except for Black, who, after he passed out, he kind of woke up, forgot who he was, forgot why he was chasing Natsumi and whatnot, and stumbles away and he actually turns into, I think it's a black lab, I think is what he turns into. Basically, it was a black colored dog. To signify, like, because he's the Black Ranger. I believe it was a black lab, I believe is what it is. So he's kind of roaming around as a dog as the DonBrothers are fighting. And then again, the Sixth Ranger appears, and he suddenly splits. We get two Sixth Rangers essentially here, because the demon, whatever you want to call it, basically the tiger demon thing that was in him, splits away and says, hey, like, stop idolizing Don Red. Like, you gotta beat him if you want to be the best. And so they end up taking over the fight. They both transform, and then we get both of their Robotaro forms right here. Just suddenly we're just going through everything. We're just getting Robotaro forms for the Sixth Ranger. We get a Megazord for them. I like how, again, they're not connected. They're not synergized, excuse me, and so they're kind of attacking each other. Like Don Dragon would kind of breathe fire and it would hit the Don Tiger. Don Tiger would kind of like claw at the monster and he would hit the Don Dragon. Which again, they're both in their like Roboto forms. It's all CGI. They're all CGI Dragon Tiger at this point. So I like that. And then when they transform into the Megazord, Don Tiger is kind of running away. And they have this thing, which I like to think of it as like you're caging the beast, because Don Dragon kind of splits apart, and you see it's like the face of the tiger is in this like cage around him, but the tiger's like the body, well, like the Don Dragon parts, kind of like the armor, kind of like keeping again the tiger inside, kind of like keeping them together and whatnot. So I really like that. I thought the whole transformation was cool and whatnot. It was basically like a kung fu style, fight. They basically like got rid of the monster's weapons and said, okay, we're dropping our swords too, and we're gonna do this hand to hand combat style. And so they're jumping. In the air, they land on the sword, which the monster actually picked up their sword instead of using them against them. But then they get up there and they kind of like squash the sword against the ground and start kicking the monster and whatnot. Again, just it felt, I feel like I've seen it a lot, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the fight with the fighting choreography with this. And I mean, the monster just basically stood no chance and kind of just got just demolished and whatnot. We get the this like fighting stance like afterwards of a transition, and there's like a temple behind them or whatever. Like they do this weird thing with the Megazord where they give them a stance after the battle. So I don't know why, but it was about, they gave it about 5-10 minutes at the end of the episode here. It was basically, there was basically like no fighting on the ground, or like human size fighting, I guess I should say. Because again, it was basically once the Six Rangers showed up and split, it was basically, they beat them up real quick and then gave time for the Megazord battle, which I thought was fine, especially because, again, we don't see Megazord battles all the time, every single week. So yeah, that was basically it. And then we end the episode with, it was like, they said days later. So Don Black was a dog for days. It's a gag, I guess. Because Mio and Don Pink go and they fix the shrine. They basically find the shrine broken, and they kind of fix it, clean up the glass, put out new flowers and whatnot. They put a little cup of water next to it too, and then start praying. And we hear Mio say, I pray that the dog basically rests in peace and whatnot. And that's when we got to Don Black, who again, it's a black lab or whatever. And this girl took him home, gave him a home, and she comes out to feed the dog, to feed Don Black again, who she doesn't know is a dog. And as she's feeding the dog, he transforms back into a human, and he doesn't realize it because he goes back to eating the dog food. And she just kind of sits there and then just starts petting his head for I don't know. And that's literally how the episode ends, is we just see a zoom out of Don Black eating dog food, and this little girl is just patting him on the head. So a couple of days being a dog, and okay. Next week we're getting something along the lines of Toro finds a mother, or they think, or yeah, he thinks she is his mother, something like that. We're some mother storyline with Toro next week. So I don't know, it just feels like another kind of filler episode, which will probably get 5 minutes of plot in it again. Yeah, that's essentially it. Again, another. It was okay. It wasn't the greatest episode. Just some weird stuff in there, but it is what it is. So for now, like the video, share the video around, don't forget to subscribe, and I'm out of here. Peace.